Hey everyone, we're so glad you are joining us for this conversation. We are going to be talking about unassisted birth. I am joined by my sister-in-law or in love, Eva, and she is one of two people that I personally know that has had unassisted births. And I asked her a couple days ago if she would be willing to do this with me because I think she just has something to bring to the table and like perspective that a lot of us don't have just because we haven't done what you've done. And so before we really get into it, we want to make all the disclaimers. When I first asked you, like, one of the first things you said was, this is not for everybody, and it's not. And so we're not here saying that anybody should or should not do it a certain way or birth a certain way or do unassisted birth. And also for myself as a doula, this can be kind of a controversial topic among doulas because we are not medically trained people. So there's kind of a debate going on whether we should attend unassisted births without any kind of So if you don't know what unassisted birth is, it's also sometimes called free birth, but it's basically where you do not have a medical professional, someone who's trained medically there to deliver the baby or do anything. So sometimes doulas will still attend, but yeah, it's kind of a topic of debate about whether they should or not. And I totally understand both sides, because if it's not the right relationship between the doula and the parents, you could get yourself into a sticky situation. If something else went different than what they wanted, even if it wasn't like death or something,
right.
But if it could get to where if they are not very clear about the role of the doula, that they are not there for medical assistance or anything like that, it could get sticky if it was the wrong people, or. So I understand that. But I am also very much that I want women to have a choice, and they should be free to choose how they want to do it and who they want to have there or not have there. And so I can very much see both sides. But just to be clear, doulas are not medically trained, so if we do attend an unassisted birth, it would not be for medical purposes, or I have made it very clear to you. Don't rely on me to do something medical. Don't expect me to be. She's more medically trained than I am. She went through nursing school, so anyways, yeah, we just want to make that clear. We're not telling anybody what they should or should not do, but we want to have the conversation because we want people to know what their choices and options are, and we want them to just be able to get a picture of what it looks like, right?
Yeah, whether planned, unassisted, or
yeah,
unplanned.
True, and that's something you brought up the other day, was like that sometimes it's unassisted accidentally.
Yes.
But if people can hear about what it can look like, even if whether it's planned or unplanned or whatever, then it can eliminate a lot of fear, people who are in that situation accidentally,
yes.
To where they don't freak out so bad and hey, it's fine, it works, it's gonna be okay. So why? Well, I guess that's part of it, but why else do you think that having a conversation like this, how do you think it can benefit people, whether they choose to have unassisted birth or any other kind of birth? What do you think the benefit of even having this kind of conversation, talking about this topic, would provide to other people?
Well, the mom really has to know what's going to happen during birth.
Yeah.
And really has to think of what will help her, what's relaxing and what she wants and what she doesn't want, and what might be a distraction.
Yeah.
And so having an assisted birth makes you really evaluate yourself and who you are, and you have to learn a lot about yourself. And I think that would be important whether in a hospital or birth center or an assisted anywhere. And so
I can see that. That's a good point. You really have to know yourself. Why do I want this?
Yes.
Right? And what do I want? I mean, that's important anywhere, but you'd also have to be sure that you know, right?
Yes, and also to know what you expect from the people that are around you. If you want to have family there or not, and what you expect of them, and you have to also be able to communicate to them.
Yeah. And preferably before, right?
Yes, exactly.
Not during.
Right.
So, what made you decide to have an unassisted birth? Or, like, what kind of was your thought process? What brought you to that point? What were, like, the deciding factors that this is what we want to do?
Well, it wasn't even at the beginning of the pregnancy that we knew. I thought that we were going to have a birth center birth.
Okay.
And once we got to 20 weeks, and we had done a lot of research, both Jared and I, and so we both felt that at peace, because we had prayed about it a lot and talked about it, that we would like to do a home birth. And so we thought that maybe we'd see if we could have a midwife come to our house and help deliver. But then we both felt comfortable in knowing that we had people that we could call, and knowing the hospital wasn't very far away. We're not against hospitals or doctors, and so we just felt at peace when we did the research, and we talked about, like, if different scenarios were to happen, like, what's the best options to do things in,
and like, what would we do if this happens or that?
Yes.
Like,
and so we both felt at peace with having an unassisted home birth, and so
you did.
Yes.
And, like, motive matters so much. Why do you want what you want? And I think the way you guys did it, like, you know, you don't want to do something like that out of the wrong motive, because, like, that can really mess things up. And so it's not because you don't want to do it because you're trying to prove something to somebody, or you don't want to do it out of fear.
Right.
You don't, like, some people might fear having an out-of-hospital birth, but some people fear having an in-hospital birth. Or they fear going to a doctor, like, how they might be treated, or things going different than they want to. So fear is never a good reason or motive for anything. And it will open the door. If you have fear and you're making decisions out of fear, it's going to open the door to things that you do not want.
Yes.
And so, like, you guys, for you, it was not that. You weren't trying to prove a point. You weren't just trying to, we'll show them. Or because you were afraid of anything, but it was just something you did your research, like you said, and you came to the decision together. You were in agreement.
Yes.
That is big, too, you know. And so
we both had to talk about where our faith was, like, in everything. Like, you have to have faith. And we wanted what God wanted a birth to look like. And we felt at peace to have the birth at home. And we were in agreement. And I was actually looking forward to the birth.
Yeah. I looked forward, well, I think I might have looked forward to all of them, but the last one especially, I really just looked forward to it, you know? And, but yeah, like you said, you have to know where your faith is at.
Yes.
And really, that's something, you have to know where your faith is at no matter where you choose to have a baby.
Yes.
And I always say you have to make the decision that creates the most peace. We're led by peace, and so if you don't have peace about something, it's too expensive if it costs you your peace. But, like, knowing where your faith is at, for some people, it's easier for them to be in peace, to stay in peace and at rest in a hospital. For some people, it's easier out of a hospital. For some people, it's easier with a midwife. For some people, it's easier unassisted.
Yeah.
So, like, but you have to know where your faith is at, and, like, what you believe God for, and like, with you guys, I think one of the things that struck me so much about you, both the spiritual and the physical, like, the whole thing was, like, how trusting you were. Like, you just trusted that it was going to work. Like, my body's going to do what it's supposed to do, and it's going to work, and it's, like, kind of like no big deal. You know what I mean? And that is very, I admire that, you know, like, that has really stuck out to me. But yeah, motive just really makes all the difference. You don't want to make the decision for the wrong reasons, no matter where you decide you're going to go. That's or right. How you're going to do it.